let's go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for joining today. As you can probably already tell, Carol is out of the office today. So I am Leanne Jones. I am the National Database Manager for the Congenital and General Thoracic Surgery databases, and I'm going to be covering the call today for Carol. So she did want me to tell you all that she does miss you very much. So, but she'll be back next week. So I don't have a lot of material to cover today. I'm just going to go through Carol's slides, and then we'll have a brief update from IQVIA. And then Melinda is also on the call today. So we'll tackle any questions that we can at the end of the session today. But on the call with me, just to give you a heads up, let's see, we have myself from STS. We also have Emily Conrad. We have Catherine Holyfield. And I think that's it from the STS side. It's a small group today. And then also Melinda, our AC adult cardiac consultant. And then from the IQVIA team, we have a small group with us today. We have Jean, Joe, and Steve. Melanie is also out on vacation this week. So again, Joe is going to cover for Melanie today. So let's go ahead and get started and hop in. Again, just real quick, I'll have the STS updates, IQVIA updates, and then user feedback. Please be sure to include your ticket number, your case number into the Q&A function for any questions. Or if you'd like, you can use the raise hand function by just unmuting yourself. And again, also just please remember to submit your questions via the Q&A and not the chat box. Important dates for adult cardiac. The ACSD Harvest 1 close is coming up. That the harvest is scheduled to close on February the 25th, and that harvest will cover OR dates up through 12/31 of 2021. The last day to opt out of the ACSD H1 harvest is March the 1st, so that would be Tuesday, March the 1st. Following that, we have our next monthly webinar scheduled for March the 2nd, the following day at 2 p.m. Central. And then our next adult cardiac user group call is scheduled for March the 16th. Just a couple of brief additional harvest updates. Again, as we just mentioned, H1 does close February 25th, covering OR dates up through December 31st of 2021. The H4 reports are back from DCRI. The data is back at DCRI and at IQVIA. They are in the process of uploading all of that information and getting those reports available. So those will be coming to you very soon within the coming weeks. Again, that H4 2021 report is coming very soon. I don't have an exact date for you today, but IQVIA is working on that and will be available within the coming weeks. Also, the February training manual is posted and available. If you have questions or submitted questions, Melinda does have that training, the February updates posted, and they are available out on the STS website. Next, I'm just going to turn things over to Joe to review the updates for IQVIA. Joe?
Great, thanks, Leanne. Good afternoon, everyone. Nothing new, but a recap of the items that are scheduled for release on February 26th. As far as the risk-adjusted dashboard, your analyzed report for printing and exporting updates, STS 7715. The export button that exports your full report to a PDF is currently including the anesthesia section, even for sites that are not enrolled in that component. So that's something that will be resolved on the 26th. STS 6706, the risk-adjusted report is cutting off the label descriptions when exported to a PDF as well. So both of those issues will be corrected. For report calculation updates, 7188, we did receive some reports of a discrepancy between the denominator for the yes and among eligible cases sections of the benchmark report for beta blockers. We did identify the cause of that issue, and the fix will be coming on the 26th. STS 7812, the current benchmark reports for operative and post-operative events are not currently including the 4.20.2 variable for intra-op blood products platelet dose pack for the 1+ platelet unit results. And so that will be resolved. And then 6867, we received reports that some sites were seeing incorrect values for missing and yes for IABP used, radial arteries used, and cardiac referral on their benchmark reports. So we'll be looking into that and fixing that as well. All right, next slide. Going on with more for the risk-adjusted report, calculation update 7649. Also looking at the IABP field, an update will be made to properly include the parent field logic for the MEC vent assist device variable for version 4.20.2. And then 6928, we're looking into reports that the conduit harvest or cannulation site line on the morbidity mortality benchmark wasn't displaying as expected. STS 7648, the missing line for intra-op blood products used currently does not include the parent field logic for intra-op blood products refused, and so that will be updated. And then STS 7089, on the anesthesia benchmark reports, we identified an issue with the results for the retrograde autologous priming of CPB circuit line, which will be updated on February 26th. And the last item here, STS 7159, an update is required for the post-operative events. This is on the participant, their non-analyzed dashboard report. For the post-operative events, rhythm disturbance requiring permanent device to include the version 4.20 variable that updated the new rhythm dis variable in that calculation. And that is everything from me.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it. Again, not much from the STS and IQVIA teams today. Next, we'll turn things over to you all. So we have a few questions coming in, so we may have a super short call today, but let's go ahead and tackle the questions that we have. And again, please submit your questions via the Q&A function. Also, you can use the raise hand function if you would like to speak as well. So for our first question for this upcoming submission, so should we upload the 3 years of data or only the last quarter that will complete the 2021 year, and all previously uploaded data will be used? If you have not gone back and made any updates to that previously submitted data from the previous quarters, then you do not have to resubmit that. So you can only just, if you've not made any additional updates to that previously submitted data, then you don't need to resubmit it. You can just submit that last quarter, it will be 2021. Next question, I think this is one for you, Melinda. Just to clarify, we discussed last month and I got confused. Do we code Impella as previous cardiac intervention, or is it only the 5.5 axillary?
Okay, so I can take that question. So if you look in the training manual under sequence 805, other cardiac intervention not listed, we added an update in July of 2020 that a temporary mechanical assist device that is placed via open implantation, such as an open surgical approach, can be captured. So if it's a 5.5 that you've placed open, transaxillary, transaortic, yes, you can capture that as a previous cardiac intervention. The other thing I wanted to just mention about Impellas, because I'm getting a lot of questions in the mailbox as of late about Impellas. So I wanted to briefly review that Impellas for the STS database are coded as a temporary assist devices. They are not to be coded as VADs. So an Impella of any sort, whether it just be your regular catheter Impella you put in or your open one, they are coded as temporary assist devices, not as VADs. I've had a slew of questions coming through as of late, so I did want to mention that. So I'm hoping that clears that up a little bit.
Great, thanks, Melinda. All right, and let's see here. I have a couple of questions, excuse me, regarding public reporting. When will the last star rating period be available to be seen publicly? And also the next star rating harvest, I want to confirm that the next star rating harvest will be data January 19th through December 20th. Oh, that's not public reporting, so I apologize. Public reporting, for public reporting questions, please direct those to Sydney Clinton. And Sydney, I'm putting her email in the chat box. So for questions regarding public reporting, please reach out to Sydney Clinton, and she can be reached at sclinton@sts.org. I know on the STS website, it looks like, I know the public reporting will be refreshing soon. There's a couple of updates It looks like the last thing that was posted, the next ACSD data refresh will likely take place around the second quarter of 2022. I do know the STS public reporting team, Sydney and her team are working on some official communications that will be going out to all databases regarding public reporting. So I know there is information that is coming within the next couple of weeks about public reporting, more detailed info. But in the meantime, if you have specific questions that you need addressed sooner rather than later, please reach out to Sydney directly and she will be happy to assist you with those public reporting questions. So the next star rating harvest, that the harvest that is getting ready to close, what is the H4 or H1 is covers OR dates up through December 31, 2021. So, and that's a 3-year reporting period. You all, adult cardiac has 3-year reporting period, right, Melinda?
Yeah, we started that. Yes.
Okay, yeah, 3 years. So it'll be 19, 20, and 21. So that is correct, Kylie or Kyla. I apologize if I said your name wrong. From Peter, this looks like for you, Melinda, is replacement of a non-coronary sinus 3471 considered an aortic procedure?
Peter must have been reading my mind earlier today. I've been kind of going back and forth with the aortic task force on this, and some of the data managers have brought this to my attention, because if you notice when you're looking at your data collection form, replacement of the non-coronary sinus is in sequence 3471, and it's also in the M2 section, the aorta section. I can't remember the exact number. It's 49 something or something like that. So I've had some questions about, well, you know, why is the replacement of the non-coronary sinus in the aortic valve section? And so I actually reached out to the aorta task force because I thought it was a great question, because I'd never really thought about it until you guys brought it to my attention. And then when I started thinking about it, I thought, really doesn't really make sense that it's in the aortic valve section. It should really be just in the aorta section. And I got some clarification from the task force on that. And I was working, I'm not sure Carol's seen the clarification yet, so I haven't really worked through how we're going to put that in the training manual. But from what the aorta task force is telling me, that we probably shouldn't have had it in the aortic valve section. It should have probably just been, the choice should have probably just been in the aorta section, because the surgeons on the task force told me they've never seen a replacement of a non-coronary sinus that didn't involve an aorta procedure. So the answer to Peter's question is yes, if you're truly doing a replacement of a non-coronary sinus, like a modified UCOB or a modified wheat, then that is an aorta procedure. It's kind of a long answer, but I hope it answers your question, Peter, and clears up questions that some other data managers have had about sequence 3471. And I will be working on some verbiage for the training manual once I review it with Carol.
Great. Thanks, Melinda. All right. Some of the elements on the participant dashboard still have not been updated to version 4.2. When is this slated for? I honestly, Bonnie, I think that would probably be a better question for Carol. I don't know what specific elements. I know we have talks with IQVIA regarding updates to the dashboard, and to be honest, I don't know the answer to this question. I wouldn't be able to answer it.
I think, Bonnie, you should reach out to IQVIA and Carol with the elements that you're addressing here, and then we'll be able to answer your question.
Yep, that would be great. Let us know, because if there's something that you're not seeing that we don't have on the list, we definitely need to look into that and discuss that. So great idea, Melinda. Is the less than 2% missing applied only to isolated procedures for the composite quality report? I
want to say yes.
Okay.
I'd have to pull up that analysis overview for the exact verbiage for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you don't,
and we can pull up the analysis overview.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. But if you, let Let me pull up. Doo.
I can find it probably quicker than you. I just got to find it.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, and I'd have to sign in. Library.
Got to find it. Yeah.
Sorry, dude. Library. Okay. Analysis overview. I've got this.
I got it.
Yeah,
I got it. I'll just share. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll share here in a minute.
Perfect.
Let me. Okay.
I might have to stop share.
Yeah, you stop sharing. I'll share.
All right, there you go. It's
Okay.
you should be good to go.
Share, and I'm gonna go to this one. Okay. So I'm gonna go to percent missing. And I'm trying to find it in here. I love the search mechanism.
I don't know. You may have to do percent missing.
Percent missing, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, there it is. So, participants are excluded from analysis if they had fewer than the thresholds must be met.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not, like I said, I'm not.
So let me read that question again. Is the
Yep.
less than 2% missing applied only to isolated procedures for a composite quality report?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know.
I think maybe not now that I read that again. I think that you need to have, for your mortality, you need to have all your cases accounted for.
For definitive, yeah, I was gonna say for a definitive answer, if you could just email Carol. I don't want to answer your question incorrectly. So if you could just email Carol and she will get back to you. Because that's a very important question.
I think it's all of them. But I wish Carol was here because she would know right off the top of her head.
Yeah, I don't know if it's composite specific. I honestly, I don't know. But if you could just email Carol directly and she'll get that answer to you a whole lot quicker than I could. And Emily just put Carol's email in the chat box. Thank you, Emily. But I definitely don't want to answer that one wrong for you. From Judy, will the COVID patients be included only for 2022? For the 3-year risk models, only 22 will include the COVID patients, right? 2021 and 2020 will not include the patients with COVID. So that is correct.
That's correct.
Yep, only 20 patients, surgery dates 2022 forward, COVID positive patients will still be included in analysis. Let me get the right screen here. There we go. And I don't know why I have such a hard time saying 2022. Next question from Marina. Can Melinda please review again the difference in Impella's open versus whatever question mark?
Okay, so the first question we had, Marina, was can an Impella be coded as a previous CV intervention? And yes, if it's an open transaortic or transaxillary, you can code it under sequence 810, other cardiac intervention, as a previous CV intervention. It's open. I'm hoping that's what you were referring to. The only other thing I said about Impellas is that all Impellas, whether they're open or not, are coded as temporary assist devices. So if your patient has an Impella put in, you will code it as a temporary assist device. You will not code it as a VAD. It is not a VAD. It's not to be coded as a VAD for the STS training manual.
Got it. All right. How are COVID positive patients going to be risk adjusted? The only thing I can tell you is that the 2022 forward surgery dates will be included in the analysis. I don't know, Melinda, were you in on any of those conversations?
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yes, I was in on several of those conversations. I think that first of all, no decision has been made whether COVID will be added to the risk model or not.
Right.
And so there have been some discussions that perhaps that might happen, but no definite plans or solid plans. There was also another discussion that we capture a lot of the risk factors that the COVID patient presents with anyway in different risk elements already in the risk model. So, as I said, there have been some discussions, but no definite plans for anything at this point.
And Heidi just raised her hand, so I'm assuming it has to do with this COVID.
Okay,
things, so-
let's see what Heidi has to say.
What you got, Heidi? Hello.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Doing all right, getting ready for more snow. So I'm trying to fill out the BCBS designation paperwork, and the asks for like your 1-year reporting values off of the H3 report, but we don't have 1-year reporting values, we have 3-year reporting values. So then in the footnotes, it mentions that you can use your dashboard off IQVIA, the risk adjusted dashboard. But if I go into the risk adjusted dashboard, I don't have the availability to process a 1-year report. And then if I use the non-risk adjusted, which isn't technically an option in the footnote, to run my 1 year, are my COVID patients going to be associated in the non-risk adjusted? Because they're not going to fall out on the non-risk adjusted, correct? That's performed during analysis and part of the risk adjustment, is my understanding. Is that right?
That is my understanding. Joe, do you know the answer?
There's a filter in the procedures section of the participant dashboard that allows you to select whether you want to include COVID positive patients or not. So that should be an option on there.
On the non-risk adjusted.
Yeah, next to where you check off which procedures you want, there's a drop
Sure.
down to
Okay.
include COVID or not to include COVID positive patients.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see here. This one looks like it might be for you, Melinda.
I know we've got a lot of hard questions today. So Anne Marie wants to know, has there been any recent consideration for changing the ICU hours to allow for collection of the transfer order date and time with the COVID pandemic? And the answer is we have discussed this, and the pandemic's been going on for several years now, and the position is we're not going to change the ICU hour definition. And the real reason is, and I'm sure most of you know, that patients in ICU environments, there's been a lot of literature out there about the effects of an ICU environment on patients' healing and emotional status and sleep. And the leadership of the STS feels very strongly that if the patient is in the ICU environment, then we need to capture those hours. And that's why we have there's no proposal to change that time. We feel strongly that we want to capture all the hours that the patient is in the ICU environment, with those reasons that I just stated being kept in mind.
All right. I think Bonnie had a question for you here, Melinda.
I think I sent an email previously, but no follow-up. I will look back. Example, left main and LAD on participant dashboard pertains to 2.9 and not 4.2, so they all show up as 0. So anybody from IQVIA, this sounds like a dashboard
Yeah.
issue.
Bonnie, if you sent that to IQVIA, then they should have that logged. But
Joe or
yeah.
It looks like an improvement. If something's not showing up, if something hasn't been updated for version 4.2, then either it's something we're looking into or something that we need to add. I'm not certain off the top of my head whether that particular variable is something that we have slated for a future update. But if you haven't already, just send us an email and we can look into that further.
All right. Thank you, Joe. From Donna, I had one patient as unknown for the ABR and was excluded for the star rating last time. You had
I'm not sure what you're asking, Donna. You want to elaborate on that? Or Do you
Yeah.
understand, Leanne?
No, the only thing I know about unknown is considered as missing data, so those are excluded. I only know for for congenital and general thoracic, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Donna.
Yeah, Donna, do you want to clarify that? Or do you
Yeah.
want to talk to us, or do you want to just clarify it in another comment?
Yeah. Let's see. All right, let's see next. I believe COVID patients from 2020 were only removed from analysis starting July 2020. Correct. We were not even required to enter COVID status until July 2020. It was optional prior to that, correct. All of the 2021 patients were removed from what I remember. That is correct. Thank you, Suzanne. Can you pull up the PROC ID isolated cabbage and tell us how it, if at all, Impella impacts an isolated cabbage?
I can tell you how it affects an isolated cabbage. For an Impella, it does not affect an isolated cabbage at all. A temporary assist device is not on the PROC ID chart. The way that it affects your isolated cabbage has to do with risk adjustment. Temporary assist devices are in the risk adjustment. And so when you're thinking about a temporary assist device, especially if you have one put in pre-op, you have one pre-op and then you have one post-op. Sometimes I get questions. Oh, I had one pre-op and I had one post-op. Which one do I code? Always code the pre-op one because that goes into your risk adjustment. If you have an intra-op and also a post-op, two separate occasions, always code the intra-op because that goes into your risk adjustment. But as far as the isolation of the cabbage, the Impella does not affect isolation at all because it's to be coded as a temporary assist device. Now, I have heard, and some of the questions that have come in are people are coding Impellas as VADs. Now, if you code an Impella as a VAD, that is going to affect your isolated cabbage. But as I stated, Impellas are not to be coded as VADs, any sort of Impella. So if you code your Impella properly as a temporary assist device, it will not affect the case isolation at all.
Thank you, Melinda. I'm glad you're on this call. This would be a very short and very not helpful call. Okay. Question from Vicky. Cabbage mortality. Sorry, my dog is playing with her squeaky toy. Cabbage mortality missed cases for STAR report was based on 1 year of data. Now that we have 3 years, will the missed cases allow go to 5%? No. So no, the thresholds will stay at 2%. The threshold will not go up to 5%. So it'll continue to be 2%. And there's information in the analysis overview for the percent missing thresholds. So I would just suggest reviewing, as Melinda had put up, the information in the analysis overview for, here's the composite for cabbage details, and then the percent missing thresholds. So it'll be 2% for each calendar year. And there's all this information can be found in the analysis overview. So I don't want to quote anything incorrect, but all of that is out there. And if you're not sure based on what you're reading, please just email Carol directly and she can get you the answer. So
well, and the key there, Vicki, is that it's 2% per year. So check your data. You're missing for 2019, 2020, and 2021. You don't want more than 2% per year.
Per year, right. How will the COVID filter help moving forward when part of the reporting period will exclude COVID patients, but part will include them? Katie, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. That's something that we will need to discuss with IQVIA. So we can put that on our list for discussion. I honestly, Melinda, unless you have any other.
Well, the only thing I could think is, Katie, when the COVID patients weren't analysis and started becoming an analysis. So perhaps that that filter could help you as you're looking at your cases during those time frames. That's all I could think.
All right, Melinda, what if my patient had surgery in 2021 and became COVID positive in January 2022 while still hospitalized? Analyzed or not?
Think, hold on. I want to look at the language. I think,
Yeah.
hold on. Let me
No,
see
you're
the
fine.
language. I want to look at the language. Beginning on January the 1st, 2022. Okay, so my guess is if you, the positive test closest to surgery, if it is dated after January the 1st, 2022, the patient will be included.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's how I read that too. All right. Can you remove Impella from the VAD pick list?
We can't now, Judy, but we can in the next upgrade. And so just pretend it's not there. It's not, just pretend it's not in the bad pick list because it's really not supposed to be there.
For Tim Field 7215, do we need to answer this for Impella 5.5 and such and leave it blank for non-open approach or code no?
Hold on. I'm making sure I'm looking at the right sequence number and everything. Know what we're talking about here. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is the temporary field. Did the patient have a planned and consented Impella implantation using an open surgical transaxillary or transaortic approach? So they're asking the question for the temporary field, do we need to answer this for Impella 5.5 and such and leave it blank for non-open? No. If it's not an open approach, code no, because this is a patient that has a planned and consented Impella implantation using an open surgical approach, whether it be transaxillary or transaortic. So if it's not an open approach, code no. Okay, next question.
Is IMA inclusion date 3 or 5 years rolling data? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that either without having to look at the reporting, which I don't have readily available.
Okay,
Um,
I don't. Michelle, if you could email Carol, I don't know the answer to that.
I think it's 3, but I don't know for sure.
Okie dokie. Let's see here. All right, we have a lot of COVID questions. Joe, when the update for IQVIA goes through on 2/26, will it update the dashboards to reflect all post-operative events, more specifically post-op pneumonia? Was that on the list? Pneumonia? Was that one of the ones?
Looking.
I know we talked about pneumonia.
I'm not sure from my notes. I'm not certain how to answer that question. So it's something I would need to raise to Melanie's attention to see if she can provide a more specific response. I'm not certain.
Okay. Heidi, can you just email
Yeah.
us, and that way he can, Joe and Melanie. I think if you include Carol too, I know Melanie's out all week. Carol will be back in the office. I think she's working Friday. And she may know the answer to that off the top of her head. So if you could just email directly, and then we can get that answered for you. All right. So Melinda, COVID inclusion goes by episode of care and not date of surgery. We might want to pull up the,
Well,
or
yeah, I've got it.
okay.
And when I read it, I'll share.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay.
Oh, here. I'm stop share.
Okay. Got it. But when you read it, I think we might need to clarify it because it says beginning on January the 1st, 2022, the national database will begin to include all COVID-19 positive patients undergoing surgery. So it doesn't specifically, can you guys see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It doesn't specifically say date of surgery. It says beginning January the 1st, 2022. So you guys bring up a good point. I hadn't thought about that. So I think I need to clarify that with Carol, and just to make sure, because we put the date of the positive test in the database. So honestly, I don't know if it's the date of the positive test that they're going by or the date of your surgery. Leanne, do you have any insight into that at all?
Yeah, under it was any surgery, any record surgery January 1, 2022 after. So it was looking at surgery date.
And it might be. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's surgery date.
It's surgery, yeah.
You think it is?
I think it is.
Because
But
if
yes,
it,
let's definitely clarify.
because if it is, then we need to clarify this.
Yeah.
And I can see that
It's a
this might be a confusion point,
Yeah.
definitely, because you and I'm clearly confused right now. Other people are on the phone. So let me I gotta clarify that. It probably is surgery date, but the way this is written, I can see that there's room for interpretation.
Yep, I agree. Oh, Rita has her hand raised. I'm sorry, Rita. I think your hand's been raised for. You're unmuted if you wanted to speak.
I did it by mistake. It's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, it's nice to hear your voice. Thanks, Rita. All right. So clearly we need to get some clarification there on the COVID, and I think we'll get that updated in the training manual. Understanding COVID positive is that based on surgery date? Is that it is based on surgery date? So that's what Darlene was.
I think it probably is. And
yeah.
But I want to make 100% sure and get it updated in the training manual.
I agree, and I need to look at it too and see how we have it in congenital and thoracic and make sure we're all not leaving room for interpretation. Or visits starting January 122. So yes, we're going to clarify that. With 36-month harvest reports, is there a way to filter the data to only see 4 rolling quarters? What is the best way to monitor progress from 2019 to 2020 to 2021? I wish Carol was on because I know she is way more savvy and involved in the adult cardiac reporting dashboard than I am. I'm not very proficient at it, so I would not know the best way. Joe, do you know of?
Not off the top of my head. The only thing that comes to mind is that the participant dashboard does allow you to input your own custom date range, as opposed to the risk adjusted, which is based on the harvest periods.
Right.
The participant dashboard might work.
If you're not sure if you're having issues or finding, please email tech support, and one of their support the support team should be able to help you with walking through the dashboard or showing you the best way to get it to what you're looking for, so they could assist you with that as well. Let's see, Linda, does plasmapheresis count for immunocompromised status?
Not in and of by itself, no. It'd have to be something else going on.
Okay. Next question from Audrey. Does the Impella inclusion for the temporary field include all patients regardless of index procedure, or only for those receiving a VAD and other device or other device?
I'm trying to understand the question.
Yep.
Does the Impella inclusion for the temporary field include all patients regardless of index procedure? Or all, I think it's all I think you have to answer this on all patients. If you don't, it'll show up blank as missing. So it's a yes, no field. So yes or no, was your patient having a planned and consented Impella implantation using the open approach?
She's like, for example, one Impella during a cabbage case.
Okay, well, an open Impella during a cabbage case, the key to the temporary field is that this was consented, this was planned, this had a lot of, it's got a lot of requirements if you look at this this field. It's I'll share. There's so many requirements to fill this out.
Yeah. Oh, here, let me stop share.
Okay.
There you go. And she's like consented as possible procedure. So
Yeah. So, I mean, so see, when you look at this temporary field, it entails a documentation of a pre-op discussion and a preoperative consent, including the indications and rationale for the device. For non-urgent scenarios, expected that the patients will undergo a comprehensive evaluation by a multidisciplinary team for advanced heart failure therapies. And, you've got to have all of these things right here. I mean, this is a pretty detailed temporary field. So I think if your consent says possible Impella, I'm not sure I would answer that as yes, because this sounds to me, this temporary field has to do a lot with the pre-op planning to put this in, and discussions, and a patient that has been thoroughly evaluated to have that open approach put in. I hope that answers the question, Audrey.
okay. Our next question, where is the analysis overview located? Here, let me pull up, or do you stop share? Okay, let me do this. It is located within the IQVIA library, so please let me, please. So let me log in here. I go here. So once you're into the IQVIA platform, over here on the left-hand side, if you just go to the library, and then it's the very first link here, the ACSD National Report Analyses Overview. So just click on this document, it'll download PDF, and then the overview document is located here. All right. Next question. The Ohio Department of Health also requires us to submit 1-year risk-adjusted CABG data. Will there be a way for us to do this, or will we need to contact them to have them change their data request? I don't know the answer to that, Barb. Melinda, are you familiar? Or
let me read it. I'm sorry, I was looking up the COVID answer. I got an answer for the COVID. The
Okay,
Ohio Department of Health also requires us to submit a 1-year risk-adjusted CABG. Will there be any way for us to do this, or will we need to contact them to change the data? Barb, I don't really know anything about the Ohio Department of Health and their requirements, and but I'm wondering if it seems to me like you could get that data off of your risk-adjusted dashboard, perhaps. IQVIA, anybody?
yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, our benchmark reports break down year by year data, but the star rating and the details there, and then QF measures, all those are for the 3-year period.
All right, Heidi's got her hand raised. I should be unmuted, Heidi.
Hey there, me again. So as a regional leader, I have a few new people in my group that are relatively new to STS, and they've reached out to me wanting to know where the videos are located that gives them the overview or the tour of how to run reports, clean up harvest, things like that. They've reached out to IQVIA, and they're advised to go to the library. I did jump in there and try and locate some of that, but I know there used to be some prior webinar videos.
Yeah, they're on the STS website, I think, Heidi.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to locate them. Do you know where they're at, or could somebody email me the links to those?
Leanne, do you want to go over that? Do you know where they're at?
I'm looking here.
It's on. It's if you go into the STS National Database.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. If you go on STS National Database and you click on the STS National Database, scroll down to View Webinars.
No, it's not there. It's not there. It's under Data Manager Education.
Gotcha.
There, Data Manager Education. There, and you've got your dashboard review, your risk adjusted, your general training. Does that help, Heidi?
Somewhat. What about generation of reports? Yep, right there, dashboard report. Perfect. That's what they needed. Hopefully they're on.
I'm gonna put this right in the chat box. There's
I'll
the
nab it. Thank
in the
you.
chats, no problem. And then if you review that and you still don't, if you all still aren't finding what you need, just email Carol and IQVIA or tech support at IQVIA, and we can get you pointed in the right direction. So
Appreciate it. Thanks.
no problem. Thanks, Heidi.
I found the COVID answer. I'll share my screen.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I knew I knew this answer somewhere. I knew I had it somewhere. I found it in Carol's old slides. Yay, from our other webinar.
There you go. You should be good to go.
So here it is. Analysis exclusions will cease for any record with the OR date of January the 1st, 2022. So I'm going to clarify that in the training manual and make it real clear.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Yay.
Yay. Look at us. Yay, us. All right. Okay. That is, let me share screen here. All right. Carol is texting me from the air and she wants me to tell you all hello, and she is sorry she's not making the call today. Oh, Tina had her hand raised. So Tina, you're unmuted. I don't know if you had a question, or I don't know if you raised your hand by accident. Tina, going once, going twice. All right, looks like it was by accident. So I am not seeing any additional questions. Oh, it was accident, no problem. Gotcha, Tina. All right. I still not seeing any additional questions. Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle. We're winging it. I didn't even know Carol wasn't going to be here.
Yeah,
Yikes.
Yep. She's off tomorrow, but she will be back in the office on Friday. So if you guys have questions, like any of questions that we were not able to answer today, or if need input from Carol, just email her directly. Marina, did you have a question?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to that COVID thing for a minute. I understand it's from data surgery, but when you're answering the questions on did the patient have a positive COVID test, there is an option in there that says yes, within 30 days of the surgery. I believe, I don't know if that's exactly how it's stated. So let's say they did have COVID positive test after January, in January, but the surgery was in December. They're still going to answer that question, yes, COVID, right? So then in that case, since the surgery was done in December, that will get excluded, correct? Even though the COVID,
Right.
right, that's
Yeah.
right.
So it's surgery date. We cleared that up. It's surgery date. So
Right.
if your surgery date is before January the 1st, 2022, you're excluded. If it's after, you're included. No matter what the date of your positive test. So I'm actually glad I misspoke and this got brought up, because I think maybe there was some misunderstanding in the training manual, the way it was written. So we can clarify that now for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Right, Linda, it's COVID positive during hospitalization or COVID positive 30 days post-discharge. Okay, Suzanne had a quick question. Any thought on lengthening the cooling time metric range on circ arrest patients? We usually do another part of the surgery while waiting on the patient to cool, i.e. valve replacement, so we rarely meet the range allowable.
Are you talking about the range limit, like
Yeah, that's what
the
it sounds
minutes,
like.
Suzanne? That's what it sounds like. We can't do any of that until we do 100 minutes. That's what I thought. We can't do any of that until we do an upgrade, because that's all has to be done with the specs. So I apologize for that. If you are over 100 minutes, and I think that is the max allowable time frame. Correct me if I'm wrong, Suzanne, but if it is the max allowable, then you have to enter 100 minutes. You can't enter anything over that per the specs.
And our next question, when is the next upgrade? I know.
Well, it's not going to be, okay. So it should have been next year, but it's not. So it's going to be 2 years from then, right? 2024.
Yeah, I know the task for the surgeon leadership decided we were not having one next year. And I don't know if they've decided on the date.
I think it'll be 2 years after
It'll be 2
that.
years?
I
Okay.
think that's what my understanding is.
Okay. Yep, and Suzanne said that correct. They are almost always over 100, so she enters 100, so that is correct. And we have a hand raised. I don't know if it's MCNAL1. I don't know if you had your hand raised on purpose.
Yes,
Oh, hi.
I-
Yes, go
I
ahead.
did. My name's Lori.
Lori.
I hate to go back to the COVID thing, but I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So I was doing my 30-day readmission, my post discharge information, and this morning, and actually I came across one that came down with COVID and post-op after being discharged. Okay. And so the surgery was in January. The patient's surgery was in January. So should this become part of our normal 30-day follow-up? Because like my facilities use a template, and so I'm trying to figure out if this is something that needs to be added, I guess.
Well, with the temporary field 7230 that we're collecting,
Right.
one of the choices is yes, after discharge within 30 days of surgery.
Correct.
So
That's the one I came across this morning.
right. And so even though we are now including the COVID patients in analysis, we still want the temporary fields completed,
Right.
as we've been doing. And so yes, this is sort of part of the 30-day
Right.
check. Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I went back and filled in the date in the temporary field because it was within the 30 days.
Correct.
So but our surgeons have a template, a 30-day follow-up template, and I'm wondering if you guys are recommending that we add that to the template.
I think if anything that you would find useful for your site would be acceptable to add. If you could, if you find that useful, then certainly add it. I don't see this field going away anytime soon.
You don't. Okay, that was my, so you plan on continuing to collect this data indefinitely?
Well, I don't know about that, but probably until we have the next upgrade, at least. I think the surgeons want more data. They want more data. And so, in an effort to get that, we're going to have to continue to collect this temporary field for quite some time.
Okay. All right. For the post-op as well.
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Excellent. All right. We are about 5 minutes until the end of the hour. Let's see. I'm not seeing any other questions. So going once, going twice. And like I said, if we didn't get your questions answered, or if you're still not clear on anything, just email Carol directly. If you have a clinical question for Melinda, just submit that FAQ and she will be happy to get those answered for you. So I think that's it. This was a great call. I'm so happy. Thank you, Melinda, for joining today. Like I said, this would have been a very uneventful call if you were not on today. So
well, one of us had to stir up some controversy, Leanne. That was me.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. We did a great job. So all right. And it looks like I know Heidi, someone's asking for your email. So I wanted to give you a second to put that in the chat box before I close the meeting. So thanks to our IQVIA team and our STS team. Oh, Heidi. Yeah. Okay. It might be easier. There you go, Heidi.
Hey there. So I put over there in the chat, not the QA side, but on the chat side, and whoever wants to do BCBS Zoom, my email's in there.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
and they can just email me there and I'll send out a Zoom, because I think this is a confusion for a lot of people.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, thanks, Heidi. I appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, everyone. Thank you guys so much. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And thanks, IQVIA and STS team. Thanks, Melinda. You guys are the best.
All right.
Great
bye,
job.
everybody.
Great
Bye,
job,
everyone.
Leanne.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.